Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Pathological Lawyer Podcast, episode number 8. The phrase practicing gratitude has irritated me for 20 plus years of my professional career. I didn't really know what it meant, but I projected my own worldview onto that, and that was that it was frivolous, weak, indulgent, useless, that it would be a hindrance to me getting up early and working hard. If I was happy with what is, would I continue to have plans for the future? If all of my ancestors were happy with what was, would they have ever gotten out of their cave that they were living in at great risk to their personal safety and invented things? And the answer I thought was no. And so I resisted the idea of practicing gratitude. Now it doesn't bother me in the least. And now I think of it not as a hindrance to growth, but I see it as kind of a turbo boost to growth. And here's why. Most of us suffer when we add a time component to the present moment. Right now is the present moment. Right now is the next present moment, and they continue on until we're dead. And that's the only time that we can live, is right now. But many of us, including myself for most of my life, did not live in the present moment. I lived in the past, recounting my historical memories of what happened in the past, and I lived in the future, which was a complete fabrication of what I hadn't yet experienced. It's kind of wild. It's like living in a movie that is based on your fuzzy understanding of what you remember or what you believe to hopefully or not come true in the future. And it's a complete mental fiction. The other thing is we live lives of unimaginable luxury. Even 2 generations ago, my ancestors would have marveled at how easy we have it now, that I have it now. Clean water that I don't have to fetch, all the food I could possibly eat, climate-controlled offices, cars, homes, a roof that doesn't leak, no animals that are going to try to eat me, access to health care that can't make me live forever, but can dull my pain if I have it, eliminate my pain. Dental care, as an example, is amazing. I can eat without having pain in my teeth. And we forget these things. Why? Because there's only so much mental bandwidth we have as human beings. And we have to decide how to use that mental bandwidth. And if I spent every moment of every day reflecting on how great I have it, I would necessarily sacrifice some of my mental bandwidth for planning for the future and for achieving things and for having that future aha moment or moments that I expect to have in my life if I keep doing what I'm doing. And so we take these things for granted. When I get into my car and it's hot, I turn on the air conditioning and I don't thank the heavens that I have air conditioning. I sometimes am a little bit impatient because it doesn't instantly cool my car down. And when I do that, I'm a little bit less grateful. I'm a little bit perhaps more irritated, and it's completely unnecessary. Now, 25 years ago, I started studying Zen formally, and I was at the Zen temple, and I was told about this beautiful quote from the great Zen master Rinzai, and I'd studied Rinzai Zen for years. It's kind of an energetic sect within the Zen Buddhism school. And he would say, "What in this moment is lacking?" And the idea was to lop off the past and forget about the future and just look right now and decide what is lacking. And if most of us asked ourselves that question without a time component to it, we would answer probably nothing is lacking. However, be careful with this question, because if we ask ourselves this question and it has a time component layered onto it, we could say, well, I wish I hadn't gotten laid off. I wish my significant other hadn't left me. I wish I hadn't made those investment mistakes. I wish I hadn't been texting and driving and I wouldn't have driven off the road, or the future. If you ask yourself what in this moment is lacking, you can easily fill it with all kinds of things. I want a new car. I want to lose 20 pounds. I wish I was on vacation. 2 weeks from now, maybe I'm going on vacation, and the run up to that vacation is often harder than it needs to be. And so we answer these questions that we ask literally in our brains. We may not even notice it. And then all of a sudden we're feeling bad. And so if you ask yourself the question, what in this moment is lacking, and you feel bad, you're probably answering it literally. And the brain will list all kinds of reasons why the present moment isn't perfect. But when you strip off that time component, you can realize, yeah, I got it pretty good. I'm in an air-conditioned office. I'm going to get into an air-conditioned car. If I want to strive, I can go to the gym, which is completely optional. I can go home and eat, drink clean water, sleep in an amazing bed, climate-controlled house. Unbelievable. And so that, to me, is part of this practicing of gratitude, was just an appreciation for right now. Most of our right now moments are pretty amazing. And sometimes we flirt in and out of living in the present versus living in the future and then recounting the past. And a lot of times that time component trips us up. So for me, it's not an indulgent thing to be practicing gratitude. And I don't even use that term in my own mind. I think of it more as an appreciation for what is, not as a limitation on change, but as a springboard to continue to evolve. For some of us, especially me, it's not an easy thing to do based on the way we were brought up and what we believe. And I had to meditate personally for many, many years just to slow down my mind enough to even notice the present moment. That wouldn't take most normal people that long to figure that out, but it took me a long period of time. I also had to get rid of my baggage as to what was indulgent or what was not indulgent. And what I found when I was using my own definitions of things like gratitude in a way that were not helping me, and I had to let go of those things, but I didn't even know that I had them to let go of in the first place. So the awareness of that was super helpful. And if it still seems indulgent, sometimes I practice doomsday gratitude, which is to list all of the things that could have gone wrong that are not going wrong. And that sometimes is comforting. Most of us carry around what I call a bucket of worries, which is that we have a baseline of things that we worry about. And we carry it with us all the time without dumping it out. And then every once in a while, we get this huge splash of a rock into our bucket of worries. And now it's a really heavy problem. And we wish we were back where we were before that big problem came, worrying about trivial matters. And that sometimes is a great reflection to say, oh yeah, I really am habituated to worrying about little things, and I only notice it when I have these big things to worry about. And then, of course, the big thing passes one way or the other. It's always going to pass. And as soon as the celebration of that thing passing is over, about 30 seconds probably, we go back and pick up our traditional worries. And we have this layer of clouds following us like we're a character in the Peanuts cartoon. So that's another thing to think about, which is, can we practice gratitude? Can we have appreciation for what is without carrying too heavy a bucket of worries? Because if we don't, we're going to be worn out by the time those challenges do come. And we're going to wish we were back in this spot worrying about trivial matters. So that's what practicing gratitude means to me. Again, it's not a phrase that I use in my own internal vernacular, but I think it can help if we start thinking about this present moment and not answering the question with a time component layered onto it. Give it a shot.